of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are San Diego.
Some amazing plays last night by the spectacular center fielder for the Cincinnati Reds in Billy Hamilton. But the Padres powered up. Hedges and Solarte both going deep as part of a Padres win. They take game 2 of the series 7-3. Tonight is game 3 from the Queen City, where Jose Pirela has been red hot in the first 2 games of the series, going 6 for 8 with 2 homers and 3 RBIs. He'll bat third tonight, as he should. Adam Duvall hitting in .310 with 9 homers and 22 RBIs against lefties, and tonight a lefty in Travis Wood on the mound for the Padres. Welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo along with Mark Grant. Welcome to Padres Baseball. Well, last night the Padres able to get a victory. A good night up the middle, especially defensively and offensively for both Carlos Asuaje and Dusty Coleman.
And that's how good teams are built, strong up the middle. We've seen some revolving door action at shortstop and second base, but you know what? It's time to turn up the AC. Oh yeah, I'm talking Asuaje, Coleman. Coleman with some pop in the Steel City. Asuaje, he can get on base and get extra bases. He can put one out of the ballpark as well. Then when it comes to the leather, look at this turn. Great job by Asuaje on the bad throw from Coleman, and the other way around. Dusty Coleman at second base. Always not the perfect throw. All the tap dance, all the pirouette. What in the Mikhail Baryshnikov is going on out there at second base? They've been fun to watch. They're getting a lot of reps out there, and the pitching staffs absolutely love it.
Yeah, and Hever Solarte also had a good night last night, and really since coming off the DL, he's starting to pick it up now.
He's the heart and soul of the team. I mean, let's face it, since day one, since he's been a Padre, everybody on the bench just gravitates to Hever Solarte, and then it goes from the dugout, the clubhouse, to the field. The last 5 games, 8 for 20. He can hit for extra bases, doesn't have blazing speed, but when he puts out of the ballpark, he can just trot around the bases. 2 home runs and 4 RBIs in that 5 games. Hey, he's batting cleanup tonight. The key tonight, get on for Jan Hervis, maybe an extra base hit or a home run to get him on the board early.
Well, coming up, we talked about Billy Hamilton. It was amazing last night. Spectacular catches, robbing Carlos Asuaje a couple times, and the Padres. We'll hear from them when we come back. Bob Scandal will join us after this. Fly ball center field, sending Billy Hamilton back. Still going to the track at the wall. That ball is caught in center field by Hamilton, and he holds on. Unbelievable catch by Hamilton back at the 404 marker.
An incredible play by Billy Hamilton in last night's ball game. And as much as we love to see those great plays, it's not quite as fun to be the player who's the victim of it. That happened to Carlos Asuaje, not only in that play in the third, but a few innings later, another diving play by Billy Hamilton to rob him of extra bases in the 6th inning. Some hard feelings by Carlos? Well, here's what he had to say.
Can't give enough credit for that. I mean, it's great plays. You know, unfortunately, that's at my expense, but that's the way it works sometimes, you know. Honestly, it's kind of my fault for giving him those opportunities, you know what I mean? I got to hit the ball a little harder, a little softer, figure it out, but, you know, all the credit in the world to him. He's a great athlete out there, and he's doing his job.
He's fun to watch. I think people in Cincinnati and Reds fans in general get to see something that very few teams get to. There's nobody else like him in the game. I know D. Gordon flies, but the way he defends center field, the way he throws the baseball, the way he runs the bases, he's an electric player and a special type of talent, and one that I think everybody enjoys.
Well, the Padres will try to keep the ball away from Billy Hamilton tonight. In the meantime, no knocks on wood. Travis Wood going for the Padres tonight. His 3rd start for the Pods. He looked good in his first 2. He'll try to do it again here tonight. Padres, Reds, first pitch coming up next right here on Fox Sports San Diego.
We've seen a little bit of everything, pitching, defense, and some power.
Back to the track at the wall. It's gone. A home run. Looking up, and it is long gone. That ball is hot in center field by Hamilton. To second for 1, on to first for 2. Nice play, and the Padres win. Nice win last night in Game 2 of the series. We welcome you back to Cincinnati for Game 3. Time now for the weather report, brought to you by your always sunny San Diego Honda dealers. It is 84 degrees, a little warmer here today. East breeze at 6 miles per hour. Don Orsillo, Mark Grant, Bob Scanlon with you from Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Lots of sunshine, lots of blue skies. And the Padres and Reds ready for Game 3. Manuel Margot about to lead it off here for San Diego. Leading off again tonight for the Padres. Asher Wojciechowski ready to work, and the first pitch of the ball game. Swung on, and fly ball headed out towards left center. Hamilton looking up into the sun, and he'll make the catch. Seems to find him every night in the sunshine out there at center field. It's time now for the Saquon Pick the Stick. Weigh in on Twitter for a chance to win a free foursome of golf courtesy of Saquon Golf Resort. Just hashtag I'm with the last name of the broadcast you want to join forces with. If they win, you could win too. One random winner selected nightly. Follow us at Fox Sports SD for more details.
Oh, look who's running away with it.
A lot of time left, my friend.
Oh, now you're.
A lot of time left.
Now you're saying the right things.
Almost 2 months.
It's unbelievable.
Corey Spangenberg will try the drag bunt. Late to cover is Wojciechowski, and safe at first base is Spangenberg. The bunt single for Corey Spangenberg.
Perfectly placed right out of the gate, first pitch. Now the race is on, and you got to hold your breath. Because every time a runner slash batter dives head first, you think thumbs, wrists, elbows, shoulders. Oh my goodness, that was not a smooth slide, but looks good. Corey Spangenberg smiling, and you know what? Credit Joey Votto. He did everything he could on that with the glove flip. Nice job, and Wojciechowski covering on that nicely as well. It was the speed of Spangenberg that was the difference.
So 1 out, 1 on. Bunt single for Spangenberg and Jose Pirela. 6 for 8 so far in the series. It's been fun to watch. Soft toss to first, kind of threw a changeup over there. Asher Wojciechowski on the mound tonight. 14th appearance overall, 6th start for the Reds.
Does it surprise you that's another Hoss out there at 6'4", 235?
They're a big staff.
Oh.
Time call. Hold on to the baseball a while.
You could nickname this pitching staff rotation, what, the Redwoods? Because they're so big, right? And hence red trees. See where I'm going there? I mean, they are a big staff.
In there for strike 1 to Pirela. Fastball from Wojciechowski. Just under 300 at 299. 7 homers, 25 runs batted in.
I thought you were just giving my weight right there, just under 300. When you said that, I thought you were talking about my weight. Higher.
This is to right field, falling fast, in for a base hit for Pirela. Another single for Pirela, another base hit. Now 7 for 9 in the series. 2 on, 1 away. It's time now to check out the Padres lineup, brought to you by Toyota. Manuel Margot's in center, Corey Spangenberg at third with Jose Pirela in left. Yangervis Solarte at second base tonight. Will Myers at first. Hunter Renfroe in right field. And Austin Hedges doing the catching. Dusty Coleman at shortstop bats 8th, and Travis Wood, the pitcher, out of the 9 spot. Well, good night last night for Solarte. And back in the cleanup spot again tonight for San Diego. Swing and a miss. And a breaking ball for strike 1.
Well, the scouting report for Asher Wojciechowski. Thinking of Barney Miller. Anyway, we'll get back to that. Inconsistent with his slider, and he's a fly ball pitcher. Wojciechowski is his name. What did I say, Wojciechowski?
Yes.
That's the guy from Barney Miller. My bad.
Wojciechowski giving up back-to-back base hits with 1 out in the inning. Solarte in his 80th game this year. 12 home runs, hit 1 last night. Jumps back out of the way of the pitch, up and in.
One of the things that Wojciechowski tries to get better at as he's pitching at the big league level, command of the fastball on the glove side. That would mean down and into the lefty. Sometimes it leaks away to the lefties, and that could spell trouble with Solarte up there. Get him extended. Good count here to do just that.
Solarte with 3 hits last night. Tied a season high. 6th time this year that he's had a 3-hit game. Bit of a hitting streak going on against Cincinnati as well, dating back to last year. He's hit safely in the last 9 games against Cincinnati. That's with 1 out, runners at first and second. foul back. Keeps it at 2-2 to Solarte.
Threw him a 2-1 breaking ball before that last pitch we saw that he fouled back. So that's pitching backwards. Fastball count. He pulls the string. Now we can try to locate the fastball, throw the breaking ball down and in for the swing and miss.
Swing and a miss as he strikes out. Solarte down by way of the K. First strikeout of the night for Wojciechowski. It's a big out, 2 down. Now defensively tonight for the Reds, it is Adam Duvall in left, Billy Hamilton in center, Patrick Kivlehan around in right. Third to first, Eugenio Suarez, Jose Peraza. Arizmendi Alcantara at second base. Joey Votto at first, and Stuart Turner doing the catching tonight. Asher Wojciechowski, 2 down in the inning. 2 on, 2 down, and Will Myers standing in. Take ball 1 off the outside edge.
Remember I was talking about the sequence of pitches to Solarte, right? What he could go to, fastball somewhere, and or slider. He elected to go with the slider down and in. Perfect location, and Jan Hervis swung right over the top of it. Good sharp break on that breaking ball.
On the ground towards third. Suarez, a long throw, but he'll get it there in plenty of time to get Myers at first and to end the inning. Wojciechowski works his way out of a jam. Reds are coming up. Baseball brought to you by GMC, by Petco, where the pets go, and by Buick. The Ohio River as the Padres and Reds play here into the bottom of the first inning. Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Let's check out the Reds starting lineup tonight, brought to you by Hyundai. Leading it off and in center field is Billy Hamilton with Patrick Kivlehan in right field. Joey Votto at first base with Adam Duvall in left. Eugenio Suarez at third base. Jose Peraza at short. Stuart Turner doing the catching. Arizmendi Alcantara at second base, and Asher Wojciechowski batting out of the 9th spot. On the mound tonight for the Padres, Travis Wood.
30-year-old making his third start as a Padre. He's familiar with Great American Ballpark. Pitch for the Cubs here. Very aggressive in the zone with all of his pitches, and he works quickly.
Dealing with Billy Hamilton to get it started here in the bottom of the first inning.
And
strike in there.
And I think, Don, when we look at Travis Wood, he's at the start now to where he could probably try to get to 100 pitches or so. He's gone 5 innings, 6 innings, 4+. So hopefully, 6+ or maybe into the 7th.
To the backhand goes Solarte for out number 1. Let's check out the Padres defensively. Brought to you by Lincoln. And behind Travis Wood, left to right in the outfield. Jose Pirela, Manuel Margot, and Hunter Renfroe had last night off. Back in the lineup tonight for San Diego. Corey Spangenberg at third, Dusty Coleman at short, and Hervé Solarte at second base, Will Myers at first, and Austin Hedges doing the catching. One down in the first, and the former Padre, Patrick Kiblahan, will take strike one, hit a grand slam in game one of the series. First grand slam of his career. His first home run of his career, he hit in a Padres uniform. This season with 7 home runs. And he makes his first start of the series tonight.
I was talking with bench coach for Brian Price, Jim Riggleman, former Padres manager Jim Riggleman, and he said, you know, we brought up the subject of Kiblahan. He said, you know what, if this kid had a chance to start every day, there's Jim, he could probably hit 20 to 25 home runs. Some kind of strong, he said.
.27 years old, claimed off waivers from the Padres for the Cincinnati Reds, and last year only got in 5 games with San Diego. The home run, 2 runs batted in.
And only 118 at-bats going into this game tonight. Even for the big kid, like we talked about choking up on the bat. Kiblahan chokes up about 1.5 inches on that shillelagh. Bat control.
Originally a 4th-round pick by the Seattle Mariners back in 2012. I'm sure his first experience in the major leagues. It's a fly ball headed out towards center field, and Margot back a step or 2. 2 down in the first inning. Let's take a look at the keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Well, the first key, make Price's decision easy. It was written on MLB.com on the Cincinnati Reds website that this start for Wojciechowski could be a decision. If he doesn't pitch well, you know, they might have to make a move with him, whether it's the bullpen or back down to the minor league. So hopefully the Padres offense can make that decision easy. And Travis petrifies Reds Wood. Try to read into that one. Get it? Travis Wood. Reds Wood, meaning the lumber,
the bats of the Reds.
Yes.
You want them to petrify.
Yeah, kind of scare them.
Yeah.
Kind of.
But also disintegrate Wood.
That's a good call too.
Okay.
Right. So hopefully, when all is said and done, it's like 7+ innings for Wood and very few hits and runs for the Reds tonight.
Joey Votto batting with 2 down, ahead 2-0. Bet here a lot. Swings 2-0 and fouls it off to the left out of play. Votto coming in with a .314 average. Collected his 30th home run of the year in game 1 of the series. Now has 81 runs driven in. He's got Adam Duvall batting behind him, pretty good protection. It's a good 3-4 here for the Reds in their lineup. Fly ball headed out to center, struck pretty well. Margot back towards left center at the wall, and it's off the wall. Votto headed for second base. He'll get there standing. 2-out wall ball double for Joey Votto here in the first inning for Cincinnati.
Well, the hits that Joey Votto has gotten in this series, only one has been to the pull side. That was a single in the first inning back on Monday night. Last night, right up the gut to center field. We saw the home run the opposite way, and he was flirting with a home run right there.
Didn't miss by a lot, but he stands at second base with 2 down here in the first inning. Brings up Adam Duvall. He has homered in this series as well for the Reds. And he'll take strike 1. 25 home runs on the year for the Reds left fielder. 77 RBIs and .265 average. shifting on Duvall as they have in the series on the left side of the infield. I don't see this nearly as much as you do on the right side against left-handed pull hitters. Wood falling behind 2-1. Wood had pitched exclusively out of the pen for the Cubs last year. 6th in the National League with 77 appearances. 4-0 with a 2.95 earned run average out of the pen last year.
Good year out of the pen. Just going to mention how the changeup would come into play. That 2-1 pitch, but he misses big time to go 3-1. See, he's upset with himself on that last pitch. Not even close to have Duvall even offer at it.
Trying to work around a 2-out double by Joey Votto. Gets his lead at second base. Good hitter's count here for a good hitter, Adam Duvall. And that's ball 4. Misses inside. First walk given up by Travis Wood. 2-out base on balls, and they'll bring up Eugenio Suarez.
Well, the Cincinnati Red team this year against left-handed starters, 6-21. So that kind of leans in the favor of the Padres with Travis Wood on the hill. And it's really not the worst fate walking him there. Now a force at first, second, or third.
In the dirt. Ooh. And getting another piece of Hedges. Bare hand maybe.
Gosh, if it's not one part of the body, it's the other, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. Yes.
Oh, did he get crossed up there?
Looked like it did.
Yes, he most definitely did. They're having a chat right now after a second look. That's a cross up. Austin Hedges was anticipating breaking ball in the dirt, and that ball stayed true. He got him. That's the recipe of breaking a finger, breaking getting it on the wrist. He got it pretty good, but it looks like he's okay. We'll take a couple of practice tosses.
So 1-0 pitch coming up here. And an inside out swing fouled off to the right out of play. On a strike down to Suarez. Look at Hamilton to ground out. Kiblahan fly down. Joey Votto with a double to center. Adam Duvall with a walk. So first and second, 2 down. 1-1 coming up here to Suarez. High for ball 2. Pitches here in the first inning for Travis Wood, and he's not yet out of the first inning. On the ground, but foul. Cincinnati last 10 games 5-5. Two to Suarez, and that is away. Full count. So first and second can get a start.
Well, he just threw a changeup, it looked like, or maybe a breaking ball that backed up. It was 86 on the gun. Now let's see if Suarez gets his fastball. If it's a fastball here, better make darn sure it's located extremely well.
Fly ball foul off to the right, out of play.
He challenged him right there.
Not overpowering at 89.
Infielders getting dirty also. It's in your range. Dive for. Try to prevent that run from scoring from second base. Joey Votto at second base does not have blazing speed, so you can prevent that run from scoring on a grounder.
Outside, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. Back-to-back walks allowed by Wood. It's Duvall, now walks Suarez, and Darren Balls, the pitching coach, headed out there. Bases loaded and 2 down here in the first inning. A good opportunity for the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, sometimes it'll be one word, one phrase, a very quick visit from Darren Balsley. The times I've talked to Darren, he said, you know, when guys are kind of missing location, try to stay on top of it and spin it. Get behind it, spin it. That'll get you through the baseball, get extended, and not cut your pitches short. Whether that's what he told him right there, not 100%, but that's one of the things that he tries to get his pitchers back on track with. And also bases loaded now, Don. Let's see if he throws him like an off-speed pitch, first pitch, because he's probably looking for a heater.
Jose Peraza, the shortstop for the Reds, with the bases loaded, 2 down. They'll lift one foul. He was jumping on that first pitch. It was a fastball. 258, 4 homers, 27 runs batted in for Peraza. Off the bench in game 1. Started last night. Started again here tonight. The shortstop spot. Last 12 games, Peraza hits at .378. Both at second base and at shortstop this year for the Reds. And he drives one down the right field line, headed towards foul ground, and a foul ball. 1-2. 61 starts at second base. Now 38 starts at shortstop for Peraza.
This guy can run too. He's got some wheels. Big time.
Bases filled with Reds, 2 down here in the bottom of the first inning. A little bit low, and it's 2-2. Worked hard in this first inning. He's thrown 28 first inning pitches. 2 quick outs, but a double. Joey Votto off the wall. Adam Duvall walked. Eugenio Suarez walked.
Change-ups and fastballs this at bat to Peraza.
And a full count now. So here we go. Everybody on the move. Line to center field and a base hit. From third base comes Votto. Duvall will score. 2 runs in for the Reds. It's a 2-run single for Peraza. And Cincinnati jumps on top 2-0. Well, the walks really hurt in the inning to load the bases, and then that 2-run single for Peraza.
And as a hitter, you can just kind of sit back in the rocking chair, expect the fastball. Whether it's down and away, if it looks like a strike, up and away, you're hacking at it. Travis Wood banking on hitting a good location. Peraza banking on getting that fastball and doing some damage with it. And Don, as you mentioned, 3-2, bases loaded, 2 outs. They are running. 2-run single.
First and third now, 2 down, and Stuart Turner makes his first appearance of the series and takes strike 1. with 67. No homers, 3 runs batted in. Game 24 for Turner. Rule 5 selection for the Reds coming from the Twins. It's a fly ball headed out towards right field, but Renfroe's back there. He'll make the catch that ends the inning. Reds get a pair in the bottom of the first, take a 2-0 lead after 1. Second inning back at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Game 3 of the 4-game series. Reds get off to a good start. They get 2 runs off Travis Wood on a 2-run single off the bat of Jose Peraza for the Reds in the first inning. And it's on to inning number 2. Sure, Wojciechowski now has a lead with which to work. And Hunter Renfroe is going to lead it off for San Diego. 6, 7, and 8 for the Padres here in the second inning.
You know, as a pitcher, you hope that you get it out of your system for Travis Wood. 2 runs in this ballpark in the first, nothing. You know, the Padres or any team can answer back very quickly.
With 20 home runs on the year, 45 runs batted in, and last night off. Was 0 for 4 in the first game of the series. Walk and a strikeout. Hitting at 300 so far in August. Swing and a miss on a pitch up and in. Kind of a fastball running in on it.
Up and in. And what did I mention earlier? Glove side fastball location, right? He wanted that down and away, but he missed up and in, and sometimes it works to his advantage.
Up the middle, ranging from second, Alcantara. His throw is low, but Votto able to make the play. Renfroe retired. Nice rangy play by Alcantara at second base.
That's when infielders should tip the cap to the first baseman, whoever it is, as this ball is actually on the shortstop side of the bag. That's the pick there. Was it a pick or just a, did he kind of box that one? Oh, it looked like on the fly. Yeah, it was on the fly. He almost boxed it. He caught it with his thumb. I thought that was a short hop at first. Not the case.
Austin Hedges batting for the first time tonight. Padres catcher, 228. 15 homers, 44 runs batted in. back below us. Wilson last night 2 for 4 with a double and a home run. His 15th home run of the year. All part of a Padres win here last night in Game 2 of the series.
Oh, it had that sound going to both fields, all fields. You do that here, it's going to go.
Now a fly ball to right field. Not enough though. Kiblahan back there, shy of the track for out number 2. Closed captioning for tonight's game is brought to you by Wiener Schnitzel. Two outs, 4 in a row, retired by Wojciechowski. And brings up Dusty Coleman. Padres shortstop, 333. 3 homers, 8 runs batted in. A pair of singles last night. 3rd career multi-hit game for him. Pretty good series so far against Cincinnati. 3 for 7. 4-game hitting streak coming into tonight's game. Wraps it foul towards the end of the Padres dugout. They're housed on the third base side here at Great American Ballpark.
What do you think about the AC for the Padres up the middle?
Pretty good. I like that.
Yeah. Last night we featured them in our pregame show. What they did last night. Tonight's being controlled by Solarte.
Raza to his left. Throw in time and a 1-2-3 inning for Wojciechowski. 2-0 Reds after 1.5.
Either he'll get on the mound, he'll compete. It doesn't matter what kind of stuff he has that day. He's going to give you everything he's got. He loves to win baseball games. He's one of the only pitchers I've ever seen come spiked up to every game, ready to go in the game, like begging to pinch run, begging to pinch hit, wanting to do anything to win a baseball game. I think that competitive nature in the long run, he'll bring that to the young guys. He's throwing the ball really well for us so far. He's had 2 starts against the Pirates, and he's spotted up very well. He's been very effective for us.
That's Andy Green singing the praises of his starter, Travis Wood. No question that he has the toughness. And I love how he says that he comes spiked up for every game. He loves to wear the nails. He's ready to play. Remember, last year he did play some left field for the Cubs, made a nice catch in that ball game. As for tonight, a couple of runs early, but a lifetime 2.91 earned run average against the Reds. So every reason to believe that he'll settle down tonight, guys.
All right, Scan, thanks very much. He's into his 2nd inning tonight. 7 batters in the first through 32 pitches and gave up 2 runs.
Got to get that release point down. Those 2 walks that inning. The Reds did score 2, but that's nothing in this ballpark. So a nice, quick 2nd inning would be the thing to do for Travis Wood.
There's Mendy, Alcantara, Batting for the first time, second baseman. Takes the strike. Followed by Wojciechowski and Hamilton. 8, 9, and 1 for Cincinnati here in the bottom of the second inning. Wood coming in with a record of 1-0, 4.91. Third start here. On the outside corner for strike 3. He's not getting that call in the first inning. He does here in the second. Alcantara retired, and that's the first strikeout for Wood of the night.
And that's a big out for Travis Wood. Does he get a call?
Oh, yeah.
To hang with him. Austin Hedges just sticks the glove right there, doesn't even move it.
One down, Asher Wojciechowski, the batter. Taking a pretty good hack for strike 1. Wojciechowski, the pitcher, 0 for 8 at the plate this year. In his 14th game of the year. Customary defensively for the Padres, having Margot shallow and over towards right center, the opposing pitcher batting. Rest of the outfield relatively shallow. Get your game break coming up. Swing and a miss, and Wood makes quick work of Wojciechowski. 2 down. Time now for the tools of the trade, brought to you by Ram Trucks.
Oh, that burn the saddle in center field for the Reds. His name is Billy Hamilton. Let it go straight back. He plays on the shallow side. About 4 flash looks. The leap. He actually overran that ball, had to reach to his left to catch it on the side, taking away extra bases from Carlos Asuaje. On the shortstop side, he gives it a go. And once again, taking away extra bases, taking away points on pick the stick. Billy Hamilton is disliked by a lot of people.
Billy Hamilton with a swing and a miss for strike 1.
I talked to Carlos in the dugout before the game, and I said, what do you think of Billy Hamilton? He kind of grimaced. He said he took extra bases away from me twice. I said, well, he took 5 points away from me. I had you pick the stick last night. He said, sorry about that. I said, hey, no, just keep swinging the bat and hitting the ball like you're doing.
Swing and a miss, and Hamilton is down now 1-2. Rounded out second base in the first inning. Wood so far much sharper here in the second inning than he was the first.
Yeah, better location of the fastball. And you know what, even though it's 8-9-1, still be aggressive and talk about catches, Don, around Major League Baseball. How about this one?
Adam Engel.
Oh, that's a snatch it back for you on the south side. And then Yasiel Puig in Arizona.
Evens up at 2-2.
Even though Hamilton's got the speed and we've seen the defense, I didn't think he had any chance on that one last night. I take that back. Strike that from the record, Your Honor. I should never say Billy Hamilton never has a chance. I did not think he was going to get to that one. You agree?
I thought he had a chance. Swing and a miss. And a pretty good inning for Travis Wood. He strikes out the side in order. 2-0 Reds. right, Mike and Mark, thanks very much. Back here in Cincinnati, where Travis Wood, Padres pitcher, leads it off, visiting half of the third inning. Down 0-2. .182, 9 home runs, 32 runs batted in for Travis Wood in his 8th career major league season.
Tell you what, I'll take those numbers as a pitcher.
1 for 4 so far in a Padres uniform. As an RBI. Went around and strikes out. First out here in the third inning. Second strikeout for Wojciechowski. It's now 6 in a row retired by Wojciechowski. Top of the order, Manuel Margot coming up here. His second time through now for the Padres. Margot flied out to center field in the first inning. 1 for 10 so far in the series. And he takes strike 1.
Had a nice little chat with Manuel before the game on the bench, and he said, talking about, you know, in the big leagues, getting regular at bats, playing regularly. I said, it was actually kind of funny. I said, Manuel, what's the toughest thing about playing in the big leagues? You know what he said? Nothing. I go, did you understand my question? I said, what's the toughest? He goes, no, nothing. I'm doing fine. I said, okay, that's great. You got a great attitude. And I said, who's the toughest pitcher you faced this year? Corey Kluber. He said he could dot wherever he wants to, whenever he wants to. Very tough, in, out, up, down, breaking ball. And I thought it was pretty interesting just to get that insight from him that, you know what, nothing faces him. Big smile, has fun playing.
It's been fun to watch.
And he said the toughest closer, Greg Holland, Colorado.
A lot of guys would agree with that.
Yeah.
Having seen him this year with the Rockies.
And he said Kenley Jansen, even though he throws that one pitch, he's got that cutter and the fastball, whatever, it's still just so hard to pick up.
Just off the outside edge, and it's 2-2.
But what a good kid.
Pops it up right side as Votto runs into foul ground, and look out, Margot had to get around him. Votto makes the catch in foul ground for out number 2 here in the third inning. They'll bring out Corey Spangenberg. Got a bunt single back in the first inning. One of 2 Padres hits so far off Asher Wojciechowski. 21 multi-hit games this year for Spangenberg. Tied for 4th most on the Padres. Fastball at 93 from Wojciechowski. The longer names you see across Major League Baseball, and so long that they have to kind of
armpit to armpit.
Yeah, like rounded.
Yeah, and you know what, the first guy, when I think of a name like that, I think of, remember Davey Concepcion?
Yeah.
They had the bigger letters, I think, back in those old uniforms,
yes,
which I think the Reds should go back to, because I think that's a classy looking uni. But Dave Concepcion was armpit to armpit, armpit. Same thing for Wojciechowski.
Remember Jared Saltalamacchia?
Oh yes,
yeah, one that went.
That's right. That was the St. Louis Arch on his back.
On the ground down the first baseline, diving is Votto. He will flip backhand to the pitcher. Nice play there by Wojciechowski too. Reaching back, throws a little bit behind him, but a nice play on both ends. Joey Votto and Asher Wojciechowski, first baseman and pitcher, comes over to cover to retire Spangenberg. 2-0 Reds. We head to the last of the third inning. It'll be 2, 3, and 4 coming up for the Reds. Andy Green with a lot of friends and family here. Some town not far from here in Kentucky.
Yeah, about an hour, right?
Yeah.
Lexington.
Closest he got to Major League Baseball growing up was Cincinnati. And a lot of friends and family here in this 4-game series this year between the Padres and the Reds. Play day baseball here tomorrow in the finale. Patrick Kivlahan leading it off in the last of the third for the Reds. Fly out to center field in the first.
Kentucky's the bluegrass state, right?
Yes.
And Ohio is the Buckeye state, right?
Right again. Popped up back at first. Myers will drift into foul ground for out number 1 of the inning. Time now for the Arco top tier player profile. And Pedro Avila last night with the Fort Wayne single A Padres against the Great Lakes. 8 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, and he struck out 17 without walking anybody. That is a Fort Wayne record, 17 strikeouts.
And I tip my tin cap to him. Pedro, what a great night. That's a great night in A-ball.
Great night for the tin caps altogether.
Yeah.
This one fouled off to the left out of play.
Nice yard there in Fort Wayne. It's a very nice yard. Never been there, but I've seen pictures of it, and I've talked to people in the Padre organization who have been there, and it's nice.
Fouled back to the screen. Joey Votto getting his second look at Travis Wood.
And here's the situation we talked about. 0-2 for Joey Votto. Pitchers will try to nibble off the plate, but he's got such good command of the strike zone. Next thing you know, it's 3-2. He will not swing at bad pitches. Fastball in.
Doubled his first time up, came around to score the Reds' first run. Close pitch, 2-2.
Really good pitch. Does he get squeezed here? Yes, he does. That's a strike. Ouch.
Chance here for Votto. And a swing and a miss. Kind of changed his mind in the middle. Half-hearted swing right there. And there are 2 outs in the inning. 3rd K for Travis Wood.
You know, that's great concentration and great thinking right there by Travis Wood. Didn't get the call on the breaking ball. Oh, anytime you see Joey Votto take a hack like that, I think he's thinking breaking ball. This ball snuck by him. The emergency swing, at least trying to foul it off to get another hack. Not the case.
2 down here in the 3rd. 6 in a row now retired by Travis Wood. Here is Adam Duvall. Jumping on that first pitch and fouling it off to the right out of play. Line to left field, and that's going to get in quickly by Perrella to the track of the wall. Duvall headed for second base, has himself a 2-out stand-up double. Second time Duvall's been on tonight. He walked in the first, now a double here in the 3rd.
Well, we mentioned his stats earlier for Duvall. He's having one heck of a year. 265 prior to this game. That's his 31st double. He's parked 25, and that was just a case of a breaking ball, middle in, up, speeding up his bat. You know, the good thing is there you keep him in the ballpark. That was a pitch that he could have elevated out of the park.
Here's Suarez, who takes strike one. He walked in the first inning. Wood had to throw a lot of pitches in the first inning, 32 first inning pitches. And this is his 58th pitch through 2 2/3. Gave up the 2 runs the Reds have. Difference in the game in the last of the first inning. Walk 2. Work his way around a 2-out double. Suarez hits it in the air to left field and deep. Pirela going back onto the track. That ball is gone. 2-run home run for Suarez, his 19th of the year, and the Reds jump on top 4-0. The runs coming with 2 outs in the first inning, and now the runs coming here in the third inning with 2 down.
Already have 3 players with 20+ home runs. Suarez is on his way there. That's his 19th of the year. And once again, remember the double by Duvall up in the zone a little bit. This one up as well. Although this time Suarez gets under it just a little bit more, hits it well for the 2-run shot. A 1-1 pitch from Travis Wood.
So some more 2-out damage for the Reds. Jose Peraza now. Single to center field. He drove in the 2 Reds runs in the first inning. Last 12 games hitting at .378. Tonight at shortstop for Cincinnati. By Duvall in this inning that came with 2 outs, snapped a string of 6 in a row, retired by Travis Wood. He falls behind 3-1. Inside, that's ball 4. Third walk allowed by Wood.
Join the team for the inaugural Padres Base Bowl event August 16th from 4 to 8 p.m. at East Village Tavern and Bowl. Bowl side by side with players, coaches, and alumni, all while raising funds for the Padres Foundation. For more information and tickets at padres.com/baseball. That's padres.com/baseball. I'm going to be there. Day game, baseball in the afternoon, bowling at night. Don, you're going to be there, right?
Actually, I had another event that day.
Do you?
Yes.
Good for you. Giving back. Love it.
Jose Peraza at first base, 2 down in the inning. Over to first base and back is Peraza. Outside to Turner. Turner flied out to right field in the first inning, 0 for 1. Runner goes, and a liner down the left field line, foul. Not ahead of that. Not a contact, but a foul ball.
Well, the trouble that Travis Wood has experienced this inning has been the pitches up in the zone. And there's that part of the strike zone, especially here, that you have to avoid. Above the strike zone, yes, certain counts hitters will chase, and they'll also chase down to the zone. But the pitches that the Reds have connected with in that happy zone, middle thigh high, just above the belt buckle too.
Fly ball to right field. Over goes Renfroe towards the corner. And Hunter gets there in plenty of time for out number 3. But a 2-run shot for Suarez. A 4-0 Reds lead.
Jose Pirela, he has reached base 7 times in a row. How's he doing it? Watch the hands. He's keeping them inside. Let's take a look at that double from the side. Watch the hands. He leads with them, but also watch the bat. Close to that back shoulder. That creates lag. What is lag? That's when the hands lead, the barrel follows through quickly through the zone and allows him to get to that fastball inside like he did last night on that double, or to stay back and drive the ball opposite field. That's a lot different than drag, guys, where that bat gets away from the back shoulder, causes a long, slow swing through the zone. He's creating lag. Leading with the hands, keeping that bat barrel close to the back shoulder, and man, has he been hot.
Already has a single tonight, single to right field in the first inning. 1 of 2 Padres hits.
It's time to at least get one back here in this inning. Padres have to get on the board. He's got a modest 3-game hitting streak.
7 for 9 during that time.
That's hot. As Bob Scanlon said, stay hot.
Well, second time through, a lot different generally here against Wojciechowski.
We saw that with Romano last night. Padres got to the red leg right-hander.
2 hits he allowed came in the first inning. He's now retired 8 in a row since. Swing and a miss, and Pirela down on strikes. 3rd strikeout for Wojciechowski.
It's the pitch that he's trying to refine a little bit better, and this one couldn't have been better. Why? Well, 2 strikes. Hitters are protecting, and that slider, watch, out of the hand, looks like it's going to be outer half, and then the dipsy do way down and away, all upper body, trying to at least foul it off, can't do it.
1 out here in the 4th inning. Yangervis Solarte fouls it back and below us. 9-game hitting streak against Cincinnati. We talked about it. This dates back to last year. 429 average in the last 9 games. 2 homers, 7 RBIs. Solarte struck out swinging in the first, one of 3 strikeouts for Wojciechowski so far for Cincinnati. Line to right field and a base hit for Solarte. Jan Hervis struck out in the first, has a single to right field here, and that brings up a string of 9 in a row retired by Wojciechowski. Third hit of the night for San Diego.
Ball struck hard. Got on top of that 91-mile-an-hour heater. Get that top hand on top of it. The line shot. You know, when that barrel works underneath, that's a pop fly. Will Myers needs to get into one, Don.
Grounded out his first time up and takes strike 1. Framed there by Turner. Close pitch, but it's a ball. 1-1. The average down to 237 now for Will Myers. Yanked outside. 2-1. 0 for 8 so far in the series against the Reds.
You know, I've only seen basically 2 pitches.
Fastball slider
from Wojciechowski. Yeah, not great command on either of them. He's finding a little bit. Made some good pitches here and there, but missing town there. There's where you do some damage. Yeah, that's where the outfielders know it's a 3-1 count. It's probably a fastball count. Maybe stretch those hammies a little bit. Anticipate something to the gap.
Full count now. Fortunately for Will, 137 strikeouts this year, most on the club. 5th most in the majors. Solarte goes at first. Myers reaches out, sends one to right field. Kivlehan will make the running catch, spins and fires back towards first, but Solarte gets back to the bag. Myers flying out to right field. Kivlehan, a good play over towards the corner. And there are 2 outs here in the 4th inning.
Wojciechowski went with the slider, 3-2. Lofted to right field. Kivlehan concentrating. He's got that wall creeping up on him quickly to make that grab. That ball slicing off the bat of Will Myers. It's a long run for the Reds right fielder.
2 down here in the 4th inning. Brings up Hunter Renfroe. Renfroe grounded out to the second baseman. There's Mendy Alcantara.
What do you think his nickname is? Mendy?
Probably.
Remember the NBA ref Mendy Rudolph?
No.
Back in the day? That's the only Mendy I know. Morgan Mendy. Oh, that's Mendy.
Short lead at first for Solarte. Yeah, Renfroe takes a strike, went to the breaking ball there. 2-0.
A couple of times Wojciechowski has gone to that breaking ball behind in the count. And that's key. Slider again, 2-1.
A swing and a miss, 2-2.
He got a hanger that time too.
Notice Stuart Turner wearing the neon nails.
Here's the hanging breaking ball. See the glove of Turner. He wants it down and away. That one's right down the middle above the belt buckle.
Solarte takes off for second as Renfroe fouls it back to the screen. But what a jump by Solarte. He had that stolen if Renfroe was able to take that pitch. On the outside corner for strike 3. Fourth strikeout for Wojciechowski. 3.5 done. Reds have a 4-0 lead. Baseball brought to you by Sycuan Casino. Play, win together in the heart of San Diego. Jack in the Box. Come try the Jack's new 9-hour slow kick brisket. Only Jack in the Box for a limited time at participating restaurants. And by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup. Shop at ChooseNissan.com.
What is it? It's the t-shirt launcher. Look at that
It's
thing.
killing me.
Oh my gosh.
Really? It makes that much noise? Line to right. Renfroe reaches up to make the catch. Almost came in too far. As Alcantara lines out to right field. First out of the 4th inning. Had a tough time with the billboards. With all the honking and everything else going on that the t-shirt machine makes.
I'll give you a mulligan on that one.
That was real bad. Real bad. One out here in the 4th.
That thing launches those things in the upper tank.
Unbelievable.
I've never seen anything like it.
One of a kind. Wojciechowski struck out swinging in the 2nd inning. 3 Ks for Travis Wood. 70th pitch coming up for Wood. Get you a game break. American League East battle, the Blue Jays and Yankees. Swinging a foul tip. And Wood now ahead 1-2. allowing 2 runs in the first, 2 runs in the third. Sexton had retired 6 in a row. 3 strikeouts in his outing, 3 walks. 2-2 pitch. And a foul off to the right out of play. Full count down. Wojciechowski does not have a hit this year, 0 for 9. And now he does. Into right field. A throw to first base from Renfroe is going to be close, but not in time. Renfroe, the good throwing arm out there in right field, and Wojciechowski does not run well. Looked like they might have had a chance.
I've seen that play a few times. Sharply hit baseball. Now Will Myers has got to get back to the bag because everybody knows the gun of Hunter Renfroe. That's close, but I think he beats it out. Yeah. Hey, great attempt, great effort.
Here comes a guy that you would not be able to do that against. Willie Hamilton. Hamilton 0 for 2. He's grounded out to second, lined out to center. And on the grass at third is Spangenberg. Myers holding on, the runner at first, and Wojciechowski. Swing and a miss on the 2-0 pitch. Little fastball.
Yeah, a little cut fastball. He's throwing that straight fastball and cut fastball tonight. Notice that the cut fastball anywhere from like 87, 8, maybe 89. The fastball regular at 90-ish. He sets up with the changeup grip and then will adjust accordingly in his glove.
Foul down the right field line, out of play, and it's 2-2. Well, yesterday, Austin Hedges able to get him on the bases. Perdomo on the mound, and Austin Hedges.
In the 5th inning, first of all, one thing is it's a breaky ball. Secondly, it's from his knees. And then the throw on the first base side ruled safe, but on the replay, got him on the left side of the backside for the putout. That was nice. That was fun to watch.
Swing and a miss. Hamilton coming out of his shoes after that one, strikes out. 4th strikeout for Travis Wood. 2 down.
Up and out of the zone. A weird hack too by Billy Hamilton.
Looking the serious launch angle.
I mean, he opens up big time then really late. See that?
So 2 down. Wojciechowski still at first. Patrick Kiblahan 0 for 2 in the ball game. Foul back, ball and a strike. A lot of pitches tonight for Wood through 3 2/3 innings, 82 pitches. Popped up foul, back and out of play. Frame there by Hedges. This is for a ball. 2-2.
It's amazing about this game of baseball. 2 bad pitches tonight from Wood. That's the difference in this game, right?
Lined here down the left field line, and just missed by the ball attendant.
It was a good effort. He had to come in on that one and then went with the backhand. Why he's wearing the shades.
It looks good.
Yeah, it does look cool.
Very cool.
Let's check out the effort. He leaves his chair and then tries to go backhand and then I applaud you, young man. Nice effort.
Full count now. Kivlahan is flat out to center, fouled out to first. Battling here with Travis Wood, with the Reds on top 4-0. Outside, ball 4. That is the 4th walk allowed by Wood. 2 on with 2 down, and now he's got to deal with Joey Votto.
Joey Votto's last at bat, 89 cutter fastball. There's an 86. Fastballs and breaking balls. And on the one pitch there, he got squeezed, right? So what does Travis Wood do? Okay, I'm going to locate a fastball and make Joey Votto look really bad on that swing. That's telling you something. When you know you miss a call, you don't get the call. You got to erase that, not let it affect you, and then bounce right back like Travis Wood did.
Another chance here for Votto. He doubled in the first inning. Saw the strikeout in the 3rd. Here he is in the 4th. Time call. Broken bat to short right. It's going to fall for a hit. Wojciechowski will be stopped at 3rd, and the bases are loaded. Myers cuts off the throw back into the infield. Votto with his 2nd hit of the game, and now a bases loaded situation for Cincinnati.
Well, we mentioned that Joey Votto's a hitter that likes to take a lot of pitches, right? Likes to work the count. Well, there are times when he'll ambush your first pitch, and he will gladly sacrifice that bat. Snaps right down by the handle in 2. And deadens it enough off the end of the bat to where it's in front of Hunter Renfroe. Everybody moves up 90 feet. And you make a good pitch, and sometimes it's going to fall in there for a knock.
Bases filled with Reds. Adam Duvall has walked in, doubled, and scored 2 runs. And he takes strike 1. Five home runs on the year for Duvall. Good power this year. The bases loaded. 179. Actually, this year 214. His career 179. Down the right field line. Long run for Renfroe, and he'll dive to make the catch. Nice play by Renfroe in right field, able to make that grab, and no more runs for the Reds in the inning. Nice play by Renfroe. 4-0 Reds. to look at the American League East standings.
The Red Sox are separating themselves, huh? The Yankees have lost 11 of 15 games, Susan, in Toronto since the start of the 2016 season. And how about Toronto? Won 6 of their last 8 home games dating back to July 24th. So Toronto, I mean, you know what, Don? It was that bad, tough start for John Gibbons and the Blue Jays.
Set him back.
Yeah.
Leading it off here for San Diego. Austin Hedges riding a 4-game hitting streak. Fly to right in the 2nd inning and is only at bat so far in tonight's game. This catch by the right fielder Hunter Renfroe in the last inning. Not allowing any more Reds runs to score. They had the bases loaded.
That was a long run for Hunter.
Swing and a miss for Hedges on a pitch up at 92. 5 strikeouts for Wojciechowski. 1 down here in the 5th.
Oh, the high fastball, the 4-seamer from any pitcher. And you know what the beauty of that pitch is with 2 strikes? You don't have to light up the radar guns. You don't have to throw 98, 99 for that to be effective. Man, that's 92. Out of the hand. Looks like a big old fat 4-seamer that you can really launch somewhere, and it's by you, up and out of the zone.
1 down here in the 5th inning, and Dusty Coleman the batter. Popped up foul off to the right, out of play. Drops in there for a strike, and it's 1-2. Padres have been held to 3 hits. Spangenberg with a bunt single. Morella single to right. Solarte single to right. That time the fastball was rising. 2-2. Couple of singles last night for Dusty Coleman. 2 for 3 game with an RBI. Also walked on base 3 times as part of the Padres win last night. Grounds 1 foul this time outside of 3rd. His 3rd career home run on Saturday at Pittsburgh as part of this road trip for the Padres. Career high 3 hits in that game. He got his first career stolen base. It's a fly ball out towards center field, and Billy Hamilton, kind of twilight sky right now, and Hamilton does not have a problem. 2 down. Time down for the Unlimited Baseball break, brought to you by T-Mobile. Nelson Cruz, 2 home runs, 26th home run this season. And the Mariners part of a 6-3 win against the Athletics. Madison Bumgarner, 7 innings, 1 earned run. Giants win over the Cubs 3-1, and his numbers terrific in the last 4 starts. Charlie Blackmon, 3 for 6, had the go-ahead solo home run in the 12th inning against the Cleveland Indians. Swing and a miss for Wood. Struck out swinging in the 3rd. The last 15 have been retired by Wojciechowski. As you mentioned it, really doing it on 2 pitches.
Yeah. Haven't seen much of the changeup. At times he's got the feel just when he needs it to that breaking ball down and away. And once again, another starter to where Sal Romano we saw yesterday Adelman, there's not one thing that really sticks out and says, wow. Makes you go, whoa, look at that.
High fly ball down the left field line, headed foul. Wood at the plate, 1 for 5 in a Padres uniform. An open stance from the right side for him. Turning a good at bat here, 3-2. Reds got 2 in the first, 2 in the third. And Cincinnati on top 4-0. Padres batting here in the 5th. Popped up, back at third, foul ground, Suarez and Peraza. And nobody will have a play. That's into the first row.
I think he overran that ball. He thought that ball was down farther in the stands, don't you think? He had to retreat back towards the Padre dugout.
Did he go too far?
I think he did. See where he goes? He flash looks. Now watch where he goes, and then he has to come back. Flash look. You know, that's a catchable ball if he gets to that spot. Make it hurt, Travis Wood.
Swing and a miss, and he strikes out. 6 straight strikeout for Wojciechowski. 4-0 Reds. Summary, and Jose Peraza with 2 outs and the bases loaded, and a couple scoring off the bat of Peraza, driving his 28th, 29th RBIs of the year at a 2-0 lead. And then Suarez in the 3rd inning with a 2-run shot, 19th of the year, with the Reds on top 4-0. So they've had good offense and good pitching. Wojciechowski has 6 strikeouts through the first 5 innings of this game. Slider has been very good and kept the Padres off balance.
Okay, he's caught a couple of Padre hitters off balance with that slider and the freeze fastball. And there you see what's been 4-0 Reds and the principles involved.
Peraza 1 for 1. Suarez 1 for 1 with that 2-run home run, and Wood charged with all the runs so far in the game. Back out on the hill and begins this inning. That's pitch number 91. Suarez walked in the first, homered in the 3rd, and here he is in the 5th inning. Stop out in left center field. Manuel Margot over towards right center. And for Suarez to go the other way, despite the fact the home run he hit was to pull. Grounds it towards third. Spangenberg backed up on it. Throw off the mark, but Myers applies the tag on the way by. Nice play by Will Myers. Go to the home plate side, and Suarez didn't think he got him. Let's see here if the Reds are going to challenge this.
We talk about footwork around the bag. This is when a first baseman has to abandon the bag.
They are going to challenge.
They got him on the inside of the left leg. Tough to tell. Couldn't really tell if the glove moved as it was applied to the leg of Suarez.
Quick decision by the Reds to challenge. First base umpire Chad Whitson made the call. Call on the field was out.
You know what he whiffed? We just saw one on the big board, Don.
Yep. Never tagged him.
And you know what? It wasn't even close.
So this will be overturned. Now safe at first base is Suarez. Not even close.
Yep.
Error charged on the throw for Spangenberg, E5. Jose Peraza now the batter. He will send one to center. Margot coming in will make the catch. And back to first goes Suarez with now one down here in the bottom of the fifth inning.
MLB.TV every night, every device. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live, plus get a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
One on, one out. And it brings up Stuart Turner, catching his first game of the series here. Fly to right in the first and did it again in the third. So 0 for 2 against Travis Wood. Just a 159 average for the Reds catcher. Coming into the year, he was rated as the best defensive catcher in the organization. So known much more for his defensive abilities than his offensive abilities. In the air to left field. Struck well and gone. Up into that upper deck, a two-run shot for Stuart Turner. Second home run of the ballgame for the Reds and a 6-0 Cincinnati lead.
Fastball, 87, little cut maybe. Turner spins on it. Boy, everything was in unison that pitch. The count, you're looking for that fastball. He got it right in his wheelhouse. Upper tank over the auxiliary scoreboard and left.
6-0 Cincinnati with one out here in the fifth inning. Alcantara fouls it off to the right out of play. 0-2. Alcantara has struck out looking and lined out to right. Pitch number 100 of the night. Ground ball foul outside of third. It was the first major league home run for Stuart Turner that has given the Reds a 6-0 advantage. Looked like a pretty good pitch. Call the ball, 1-2.
Well, when you want to miss, that's where you want to miss. But a lot of hitters will swing at that. It's exactly where he wants to be.
Swing and a miss, and he strikes out Alcantara. Picks up strikeout number 6. 2 down here in the 5th inning. And the pitcher coming up here now, Asher Wojciechowski. Struck out swinging in the 2nd, single to right in the 4th inning. He's got a 6-run lead now. Fouls it off over to the on-deck circle where Billy Hamilton is waiting on deck. Fooled him there, and it's 0-2. Two more home runs tonight for Reds hitters. 157 home runs in 113 games, on pace to hit 222, which would be the single season club record for the Reds. The 2005 club, 222 home runs in 163 games that year. Now striking out is Wojciechowski. 2 more runs for the Reds on top, 6-0.
The 6th inning here in Cincinnati, and something new and fun for Major League Baseball. It's going to be Players Weekend, August 25th through the 27th. What does that mean? The players will actually be able to put their nicknames on the back of their jerseys. The jerseys will be inspired by Little League patterns. Here you see a Padres example. This is Brad Hand's jersey. His nickname Brotado. Somehow I think Ryan Buchter might have had something to do with that. But some of the other nicknames that we're going to see, Luis Torrens is going to be Churro, Solarte Patuki, Julius Justin is going to be Machina. Some others in some of the other teams, Chris Herman, Herm the Worm for Arizona. And I like this one over from Josh Fegley in Oakland. He's going to be PTBNL, player to be named later. The other nice thing about these jerseys, guys, is there'll be a blank spot on the sleeve where players can actually write the names of somebody that was influential in their childhood, helping them become major league players. Guys, back to you.
That'll be cool.
Very cool.
End of August.
Thank you, Bob.
And well, Margot 0 for 2 in the ball game, leading it off here in the 6th inning. Padres have work to do. Down 6-0.
So I ask you, Don Orsillo, if you had that jersey, what nickname you putting on the back?
I'd probably go Donatangelo.
That's real original.
Or I don't know. My nickname when I was a kid was like Donnie O. So I might go Donnie O. What would you go with? Well, Mike. Right?
Yeah.
But that's your name though. So I mean, your name's Mark.
Right.
But I think more people know you as Mud than Mark.
I don't know. I was thinking maybe Fatty.
Fatty would work. That's not really a nickname.
No, probably Mudcat.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would think people would know you.
Donnie O.
Yeah, that's probably what I'd go with.
I like Donatangelo.
It's long though. I may have to go
armpit to armpit.
Yeah,
I like that. How about 260-ish for me?
Five in a row retired by Wojciechowski. He's only given up 3 hits through the first 5 innings. Fouled off to the right, out of play. Up into the upper deck. Six strikeouts for Wojciechowski. Full count here to Manuel Margot, leading it off in the 6th inning. Action in the Padres pen. Carter Capps going to get his 2nd appearance in the Padres uniform. The first one here in game 1. In the air towards left center field, struck pretty well, back towards the wall, and that ball is gone. Home run for Manuel Margot, his 10th of the year, straightaway center field, and the Padres are on the board. Well, Margot on the full count takes one out.
Full count, and Wojciechowski, he says, hey, why not try to, oh, he spun one up there. With the big lead, he's throwing a breaking ball up there, and Manuel recognizes that one perfectly, speeds up his bat right off the top of the yellow line out by the bullpen. Put a charge into that one. Now into double digits in the home run column for Manuel Margot.
So Padres on the board, and Corey Spangenberg now batting. One single in the 1st inning, grounded out to first in the 3rd. 1 for 2 tonight. Run breaks up a string of 5 in a row retired by Wojciechowski. And 15 out of 16 right-hander had retired. Wojciechowski now falling behind 3-1 to Spangenberg with Jose Perella waiting on deck. Popped up right side of the infield. Joey Votto and Alcantara. And Alcantara coming in about equidistant between first and second, makes the catch for out number 1 of the 6th inning.
Padres fans, if you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by your San Diego County Toyota dealers. Download the app and take Padres baseball wherever you go.
1 out here in the 6th inning brings up Jose Pirela. Singled to right field in the first, struck out swinging in the 4th inning. Wojciechowski with 6 strikeouts. He's not walked anybody so far in the game. Pitch 84 of his outing coming up here in 5 1/3.
Well, I mentioned before that when Wojciechowski took the mound, remember it was written that whatever type of outing he has tonight is going to determine what happens for his near future. And I'm thinking after an outing like this, it's going to earn him another start probably for Brian Price's Reds.
Yeah, not bad at all. Just relinquishing his first run. It comes here in the 6th inning. Solo shot by Manuel Margot. Ahead of Pirela, 1-2. On the ground, chop towards third. Suarez plays the high hop, slings it across the diamond in time to get Pirela 2 down. Yeah, nothing spectacular, but he is getting the job done.
Well, the Padres had a chance to get to him in the first inning. The bunt single and the single by Pirela. After that, nothing going until the Margot home run.
Just 2 hits since the first inning. 2 down here in the 6th inning. And there's Yangervis Solarte. Struck out in the first, single to right field in the 4th inning. And now lines one down the right field line. That's going to get in and one hop the wall. Solarte is thinking 2. Throw going to second base, going to be cut off. And Solarte has got himself a double. And Hervis with his 2nd hit of the night.
We talked about Jan Hervis in our game open. Boy, talking about spinning on a fastball in, and he's got to really put on the jets here. Look at him pumping. He doesn't have blazing speed, but he rolls into second base with the double.
His legs were moving, but not much was happening. Jenkins, a pitching coach out there. First time we've seen him tonight, visiting his starter. Wojciechowski gives up a 2-out double. And a look at the breakdown per inning for him on the night. 87 total. Dealing with Will Myers.
Mistake. Crushable pitch. Remember, we mentioned the 2nd and 3rd time around against Wojciechowski. 333 average.
Myers grounded out to third base in the first, flied out to right in the 4th inning. Lifts a fly ball pretty deep to right field. Back goes Kimblehan at the wall. It is gone. Will Myers taking it the other way to right. A 2-run shot. And here come the Padres. 2nd home run of the inning for San Diego. Myers gets his 22nd of the year.
Staying on that pitch, it was a fastball up and away, and we know that the big horse actually about just above the knees, mid-thigh high. We know the power of Will Myers.
So 6-3 now. Reds on top, and Renfroe will take a pitch inside. So they had no runs coming in here to the 6th inning. Margot a home run to center field. Solarte a double. Myers a 2-run shot. And that falls behind Renfroe 2-0. 22nd home run of the year for Will Myers. Big cut there by Renfroe. Expecting the fastball, got it. Reaches out and hits a little bloop to short left. That is going to be dropping between the shortstop and left fielder. Raza looked like he was going to try to catch it over the shoulder. Cannot catch it. And it's a base hit that's blooped in there for Renfroe. And here comes Brian Price. Just out of the shortstop's reach. Lays it on a hop. Renfroe gets a base hit. Pitching change from Cincinnati. Padres with 3 runs here in the inning. It's now 6-3 Reds. Padres baseball brought to you by Petco, where the pets go, and by Honda. Hurry into the Honda Summerbration sales event today. Back in Cincinnati, the Queen City, where the Reds have a 6-3 lead over the Padres. But San Diego making some noise here in the 6th inning, scoring 3 times and chasing Asher Wojciechowski from the game. The pitcher coming in is this pitching change brought to you by El Cajon Ford. Michael Lorenzen into his 2nd game of the series.
Hard thrown right-hander. He's got the 4-2 seamer, slider, and cutter. About 96. Threw a scoreless inning and 2/3 Monday against these Padres. Snapped the streak there when he allowed at least 1 run in their career high 5 consecutive relief appearances. That was over 7 innings. Really good splits though as you look overall this season.
With Austin Hedges with a runner at first, 2 down.
This is the guy that's jacked.
Yes.
You mentioned it the other day.
Yeah.
Look at the guns. And his right arm. Big forearms, big biceps.
Chop left side, cut off at third base by Suarez. He'll go to second for the force out to end the inning. But a good inning offensively for the Padres. 2 home runs in the inning. Manuel Margot picks up his 10th of the year. And then Will Myers going the other way, gets his 22nd of the year. 6-3 Cincinnati.
He's definitely been a rock for me. Yeah, it's just like a huge roller coaster ride. I mean, you always hear, oh yeah, everything's going great, and it was, but I'd have like, 2 or 3 good days in a row, and then I'd have like, oh man, I feel like I'm back to square one, and in a rehab stint. So it's like, just you keep building on that, and it's like, I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say, man, I wonder if I'm ever going to get back here, so she definitely talked me through that, and like, it's like, you know what, I mean, just believe in yourself, so.
Carter Capps talking about the important role that his wife Alyssa played in his comeback from Tommy John surgery that he went through last March. He missed all of last season. He got back here a couple of days ago, guys, but it's just a reminder how long and lonely that road can be in trying to come back from a major surgery. He couldn't have done it without the support of his wife.
Here he is in his second appearance since returning from El Paso. Billy Hamilton going to lead it off and swing at the first pitch, foul it off. Saw him in game 1 of the series, and here he is in game 3.
Yeah, 2/3 of an inning, give up a hit, 3 runs, 2 walks. So here's what I like about this. It's a closer game, only down by 3. He's familiar with the mound. Second time out there, familiar with the surroundings here in Cincinnati.
To left, and that's going to drop in for a base hit in front of Perella. Billy Hamilton on to begin the 6th inning.
Well, that's a perfect example of being the Sultan of slap. Billy Hamilton just slaps that ball the other way. Shallow left field.
Always a stolen base threat, 44 of them on the year. Was caught stealing here, though. Showed you earlier, Austin Hedges got him earlier in the series. Leads the majors this year. The numbers over the years for him. Patrick Kivlehan with a runner at first.
Don, you mentioned it last night, a good point. Keeping an eye on the velocity of Carter Capps. He was 93 on that fastball.
Yeah, he was 93, 94 the other night. Of course, he was high 90s prior to the surgery.
And we all know good and well it's not about the velocity. It's about the location. A little bit of movement here and there, throwing the breaking balls behind in situations when it's a fastball count.
Throw to first, and Hamilton back to the bag. Runner goes. Pitch is a strike, and a drop there by Hedges. Stolen base for Billy Hamilton, his 45th of the year.
Yeah, you can smell that one coming. And Austin Hedges right along with us, as he's just a little bit too quick. A little bit too quick. And you know what, to throw him out, that's what you need to do. It was a fastball. He could handle it. Got up to the ear. Couldn't find the handle to get the speedy Hamilton.
Now the scoring position with nobody out. Kivlehan down 0-2 though. Bluff off the backside, no throw. Padres into the pen here in the 6th inning after Travis Wood went the first 5 tonight. Leaves on the hook, gave up 6 hits and 6 runs. Walked 4, struck out 7, and threw 107 pitches in his 5-inning effort tonight. Line off the glove of Spangenberg and into left field. Hamilton will take third. Aboard at first is Kivlehan. It was hit hard, but looked like Spangenberg got a piece of it on the way by, but not enough. Makes its way out to left field, and the Reds have runners at first and third.
Looks like he was a Pitch that kind of hooks towards Spangenberg. How close was it? Just off the fingers of the glove.
First and third, Joey Votto. On twice, 2 hits tonight, double in the first, single in the 4th inning. Wrapped around a strikeout swinging. Strike one. Interesting alignment in the outfield. They got Margot well over into left center. Big gap out there in center and right center.
There you see the gap that way.
Chops softly towards first. Myers picks it off, goes to second for one. No, throw to first, and a run will score. And the back door from third base comes Billy Hamilton. And it's now 7-3 Cincinnati. They get Kiblahan at second base. 3-6 on the force out there.
That's about the only play for Will Myers. He's going to it. Getting that lead runner, at least, you know, get an out right there on that chopper. Thanks to the stolen base. Base knocked by Kiblahan, scoring Hamilton.
Now Adam Duvall coming up. Walked and scored in the first, doubled and scored in the third. Before he flied out to right field in the 4th inning. They've spread the hits around, have the Cincinnati Reds. Votto with 2 hits in this game. Everybody's got at least one, with the exception of Alcantara. There's a ground ball, diving at third. Spangenberg couldn't get it. It's into left. And up to second base goes Votto on the single by Duvall, his second hit of the night.
Line drive just out of the reach of Spangenberg. Spangenberg to his left. Coleman to his right. Finds the hole.
One out, 2 on, and Eugenio Suarez coming up. Walked in the first, homered in the third, a 2-run shot. Reached on a miscue, throwing error by Spangenberg in the 5th. In the air to left field, down the line. Perella headed over, and a nice running catch by Perella. He was well over towards left center and a long way to go, but he gets there.
I was just about to mention that, Tom, because that ball, thank goodness it hangs up in the air as long as it does, allowing Perella to get over there. Now on contact, see, look at, he's got a long way to go. Off the end of the bat, it was up and away, and thank goodness that ball is hung up in the air quite a bit.
First and second, 2 down, and Peraza takes strike 1. With a single in the first, walked in the third, flat out to center in the 5th. A single in the first drove in 2 runs, first 2 runs of the night. And the Reds off to the fast start. Cincinnati at one point in this game had a 6-0 advantage. Now on top here, 7-3 as they bat with 2 outs in the 6th inning. Peraza protecting the plate, fouls it off to the right on play. Only 1-2-3 inning tonight for Padres pitching. That was back in the second inning. Travis Wood struck out the side. Carter Capps in his second appearance in a Padres uniform. This is back up the middle into center field, a base hit. Votto being waved around. Throw from Margot is going to be up the line. The tag is not in time, and another run scores. 8-3 Cincinnati. Jimmy Votto scoring from second base on the RBI single by Peraza, his third RBI of the night.
Well, the Cincinnati Reds in this inning, avoiding the strikeouts and putting the ball in play. As you take a look at that one, Peraza goes down and gets a breaky ball. Boy, very close on the swipe tag to Votto.
Two on, two down. Stuart Turner about to climb in the box here, the catcher. In there for strike one. Padres getting 3 runs in the top half of this inning, but so far the Reds answering with 2 runs of their own in the bottom half of inning number 6. Seventh member of the Reds to bat here in the 6th inning. Ball at second, Peraza at first. Check swing, did he go? No, he did not. John Whitson, first base umpire, said he didn't offer. th pitch of the inning coming up for Carter Capps. Inside out swing and kind of jam. Let's have now with the Bill Howe play of the game, and it is Stuart Turner, first major league home run back in the 5th inning. Off Travis Wood, a 2-run shot, which at the time gave the Reds a 6-0 advantage. Catcher getting his first major league home run.
Yeah, when the count is in your favor and you've got that pitch you're looking for, that's the perfect swing, and he put the perfect swing on it.
Protects the plate there and fouls it off to the right.
I love when they put Godzilla up there to try to rally everybody. I think that's so funny.
Doesn't seem to do much though.
That's a good pitch. I think he gets squeezed on this one. That's a slider right at the bottom of the strike zone, right at the knees.
Payoff pitch. And a pop-up. Shallow center field. Dusty Coleman will give way to Manuel Margot, who puts it away to end the 6th inning. But 2 more runs for the Reds, who take an 8-3 lead.
Diego Padres.
I think Ted is one of the best there is at getting excited. You know, my style is probably a little bit more subdued, but I think that's part of what makes us a good balance.
You know, the Chinese proverb, you find something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That's me.
Friday on Padres POV, presented by Nissan. We take you behind the scenes of Padres radio and show you the faces behind the broadcast. Tune in Friday after Padres Live. Ted Leitner, the great Ted Leitner. Tune in.
Dusty Coleman going to lead it off here in the 7th inning. 0 for 2 in the ball game so far. Padres trailing by 5. Michael Lorenzen back on the mound again. At the final out of the 6th inning. Coleman the pitcher spot where Carlos Asuaje has come out on deck. And the top of the order, Manuel Margot. Padres batting here in the 7th. Asher Wojciechowski left the game after 5 2/3. 7 hits, 3 runs, didn't walk anybody, struck out 6. Pitcher of record tonight for Cincinnati. There is Asuaje, who has come out on deck. He would bat for Carter Capps. Second outing of the series for Lorenzen. Cal McGrath, nearby Louisville, Kentucky, warming in the pen right now for the Padres. They had gone around, pitch in the dirt. Coleman did. He strikes out for the first out here of the 7th inning. First strikeout for Lorenzen.
Boy, mentioned the repertoire of Lorenzen. He's got the fastball about 96, and you bet he goes on the breaking ball in the dirt. Nice smother by Turner behind the dish.
One out, and here is Asuaje, who hits a .293, 2 homers, 12 runs batted in. Started last night at second base. Pitch hits tonight. And missing at 97 miles an hour, and it's 1-1. Got the final out of the 6th inning. First out here of the 7th. That jumps ahead here, 1-2. So Carter Capps ended up going an inning. Gives up 4 hits and 2 runs. Didn't walk anybody, nor did he strike anybody out. As Asuaje bats for him here in the top of the 7th inning. Second appearance for Capps.
Yeah, the 4 hits, so off of location. And the Reds that inning got those 4 hits, all singles, putting the ball in play, avoiding the strikeout.
Two and two to Asuaje. And a grounder up the middle. Peraza ranges behind second. 2 down.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the San Diego Padres. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
2 down in the 7th inning. And Manuel Margot homered his last time up. Renson falling behind 2-0. $15,450 on hand here tonight. 15,450 for the third game of this 4-game series. Day baseball here tomorrow. That's strike 2. And the Padres will head to Los Angeles.
Were they winning tonight?
Not sure.
We can check that. And they have not started yet.
Back towards the mound, and the catcher jumps out there. Turner is toward the first in time to get speedy Manuel Margot. 2-3 on the putout. 7th inning stretch. 8-3 Reds. We get ready for the bottom of the 7th. 7th inning stretch is presented by your San Diego Hyundai dealers. Well, the Padres here for one more tomorrow. It's part of this 4-game series against the Reds. And you were asking about the Dodgers. And a battle in the desert tonight. The duel in the desert. Alex Wood, 13-1, matched up against Zach Greinke, 13-4. Wood with a 2.33 ERA, Greinke 3.10. That'll be a good pitching matchup and fun one to watch.
Absolutely. D-backs took game 1 of that series, and the Dodgers 79-33 going into tonight. They may win 80 games before they lose 35. Okay, now let me ask you something there, Don.
Kyle McGrath, new pitcher in for the Padres.
What is more impressive to you? I'll tell you what, let's talk about Kyle McGrath first. Let's leave the people hanging. That's called a tease. 4th game for Kyle. Small sample size. Soft toss and lefty right over the top. Always working from the stretch from that third base side of the pitcher's plate.
Contra leading it off.
So now I pose the question to you. Let's say the Dodgers win tonight. 80-33 will be their record. What's more impressive to you? That record at this point in time, or going back to 1984 when the Detroit Tigers started out 35-5? I'll take the 35-5. Yeah, that is an incredible start.
I'm with you. Because you can play, what, less than 500 baseball. Yeah. And be fine.
Exactly.
Just because of your start.
Right. Isn't that an incredible start? And of course, 1984, they meet the Padres in the World Series and they win the World Series.
Still very impressive what the Dodgers are doing.
Absolutely.
Swing and a miss. Alcantara chasing after that pitch. Only member of the starting 9 for Cincinnati not to have a hit in this game.
And then the flip side of the Tigers start 35-5 as Jesse Winker's on deck. How about the 1988 Orioles starting out 0-21?
Yep. Cost Cal Ripken Sr. his job. Ground ball to third. Spangenberg to his left. Good throw, and that's out number 1 at the bottom of the 7th inning.
0-21. Ouch, bad. That's a rough month in the big leagues right there, Big Pelly.
1 out, and Jesse Winker pitch hitting in the pitcher's spot. So Michael Lorenzen done after an inning and a third. Winker started the first 2 games of the series in right field. Tonight, Patrick Kivlahan getting the start in right, and Winker coming off the bench to pinch hit with 1 out in the 7th inning, and the Reds on top 8-3. Only 25 years of age, born in Louisville, resides in Louisville during the offseason, about an hour and a half from here.
Did you announce in Louisville in the minor leagues?
No. Yes, I did. I'm sorry.
Yeah?
Yes. Yep. The Redbirds. Cardinals AAA at the time.
Yeah. Who were you with? Pawtucket.
I was with Pawtucket Red Sox.
Good yard down there?
Cardinal Stadium, which was AstroTurf.
Really?
Yes. Swinging a foul tip.
Did they still play at the fairgrounds there, or did they have a new stadium there?
They now do have a new stadium.
Okay.
Louisville Slugger Field, which is very nice downtown.
Okay.
Was at the fairgrounds before.
Correct.
That's where it was.
That's the one I've been to. Yeah.
It's by Freedom Hall.
Yeah. I think of Louisville. I think of Denny Crum. Going hoops, thinking hoops.
Yep. Diving at second base is Solarte from his knees, able to throw out Winker at first base, 2 down.
Nice play on Harvis, going to your right. Getting dirty for your pitcher. Taking away a base hit. And throwing from his knees. Erasing Jesse Winker. He has fun playing the game, doesn't he?
Sure does. Now 2 down here in the 7th inning, brings up Billy Hamilton. Strike call. 0-2 the count to Billy Hamilton.
You know, every time I hear McGrath, he throws a strike, I hear a subtle cheer in the stands. He must have a group of people here.
Swinging a foul tip. Strike 3. A 1-2-3 7th inning for McGrath. 8-3 Reds on top. All right, Mike and Mark, thanks very much. We move to the 8th inning. Wandy Peralta into his 2nd game of the series, 51st appearance of the year.
Fastball, slider, occasional sinker, and a changeup. Live arm from the left side. We've seen that already. 97, 98 from the lefty.
Corey Spangenberg with a bunt single back in the 1st inning. A 1-for-3 night, batting out of the 2 spot in the Padres order. Followed by Perella and Solarte scheduled to bat in the inning. That time, but he missed. 3-1. Very deep in right is Kivlahan. Spangenberg grounds one down the first baseline. Picked up by Votto. Tags the bag for out number 1 of the 8th inning. Really got jammed there and ground that weakly to first base. One out. Here's Jose Perella. Singled in the 1st inning. Since then has struck out and grounded out. 1-for-3 night for the Padres left fielder. (2-0). Peralta, 25 years of age, from San Francisco de Macorís, the Dominican Republic. Think I was making that up?
No, I've been to the DR and I love the Dominican Republic. Played winter ball down there in San Pedro de Macorís.
Yeah, I've been there too. But, this is San Francisco.
Yeah,
de Macorís. Fly ball out towards right field, and Kivlahan takes care of out number 2.
I would never doubt you.
Right. That's why you took the media guide right out of my hands.
When's the last time you were in the Dominican?
It's been a while. Since the mid-2000s.
Yeah, for me, 1984.
Wow.
I loved it.
Did you go there for winter ball? Or?
For winter ball.
Yep.
Yep.
2 down here in the 8th inning.
Played for Los Estrellas, the Stars of San Pedro de Macorís, home of Alfredo Griffin, Jose Uribe. That's like known as like the hotbed for Dominican shortstops. I believe Tony Fernandez was there as well.
2 down here in the 8th inning. Hervis Solarte. Struck out swinging in the 1st, single to right in the 4th inning, double to right in the 6th inning. That's 2 of the 7 Padres hits in the game. Last year was Peralta's first major league experience. 10 games last year. 51 this year. Evens 2-2. That's pitching has retired the last 6 Padres in a row. 2 down here in the 8th. Spangenberg grounded out. Perella flied out to right. Now Solarte with a full count. Line foul. Not ahead of that. You always got to worry about that 99-mile-an-hour fastball that he's got. Didn't throw it that time.
Yeah, then he throws a breaking ball on you. I don't see how these guys do it.
Solarte to center field. Hamilton going back to make the catch. That ends the inning. We head to the bottom of the 8th, 8-3 Cincinnati. Cincinnati morning baseball back in San Diego. Dinelson Lamet 6-4 with a 5.12 earned run average against Luis Castillo. 2-5, 3.64 ERA. Finale of the 4-game series between the Padres and the Reds, 9:30 a.m. on the West Coast on Fox Sports San Diego.
Now, talking to some of the Reds announcers, they say that this Luis Castillo kid is the one to watch.
Patrick Kiblahan pops it up. Foul ground, playable for Myers. For out number 1 of the bottom of the 8th inning. Let's revisit the keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Make Price's decision easy. We were talking about Wojciechowski, if he had a bad outing, what they were going to do with him, send him down, bullpen, whatever. 5 2/3. 7 hits, 3 earned runs, and Travis petrifies Reds Wood. Well, the Reds 7 hits, 6 runs off of Travis Wood.
There's Joey Votto with 1 out in the 8th inning.
So I'll give myself a D- or an F. Is there such thing as a D-?
Sure.
Here's what I don't understand.
Yep.
Let's say you get a D in a class. To me, that's passing, right? D's passing.
Depends.
Okay, well then you should eliminate the D. It's A, B, C, F.
Right.
Because if you get a D, you have to retake the class. In most cases.
In some cases, it depends.
Eliminate the D.
C or better.
Right. Eliminate the D altogether. A, B, C, and F. Why even have the D? It's ridiculous. Seriously.
It seems near and dear to your heart. Is this an issue over the course of your...
Well, when you have kids in high school and college, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's an issue.
I thought it was not for them, but for you.
Oh, I always avoided the D. Went straight for the F. But I got through high school. Hey, no matter if you graduate first in your class or last in your class, you know what they still call you? Graduate.
That's right. 1-2 pitch. Fouled off to the left out of play. You know this, but I had a dream that you and I were in college together.
Come on.
About a week ago.
Really?
Yes. At our age now.
So we were still in college?
We were still in college.
At 49 and 53.
48.
Whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Go ahead.
And we were at the cafeteria, and you were telling me about all
Where
the
were
classes.
we going to school?
We're going to Northeastern University.
Nice.
And you were telling me about all the classes you were taking. You were taking chemistry. It was very real. In fact, you said, sorry about being well-rounded.
Really?
Which is a typical line you would say. Yeah. So We were in college together.
What other?
Just a week ago, as it turned out.
What other classes did I
you
sign
had
up
chemistry. You had taken some sort of literature class.
Nice.
I mean, you were really well-rounded, very smart guy.
Yeah.
This one has popped up foul off to the left out of play.
Did I sign up for a physics class? Talking like launch angles and stuff?
Unbelievable. You had the stuff you had. You're going to take all the stuff, but it was so real. It was unbelievable. It's like we were there.
Did you say we were in the cafeteria?
We were. We were in the school cafeteria. You were wearing your normal cap that you wear with your Padres gear.
My bucket hat. I like my bucket hat.
I know. You were trying to get your dorm moved. That was the other thing. You wanted to move your dorm room. This is in the air to left field. Struck pretty well, but Perella back there with room. There are 2 outs in the inning. Well, the day after the Padres score 5 or more runs, get 50% off any regular menu price online order at papajohns.com. Enter promo code Padres5.
Now, for instance, let's say you and I were roommates.
Yes.
How much pizza would we go through?
Let's just say this. The pizza guy would know us. We'd be on a first-name basis.
We would just call the place and say, Grant Orsillo.
Yes.
Click.
Extra sausage.
And they would be on their way.
They'll drop in there for strike 1. McGrath's looked very good. He retired all 5 Reds that he's faced since coming in.
He throws below the hitting speed, right? He's a soft tosser. He's got that changeup, the fastball, what, 86? Pitches up and out of the zone. Can pitch. There's an off-speed pitch at 77. That looks like a changeup. You know, the majority of the time that I have seen Kyle pretty much up in the zone.
Duvall chases that changeup. 1-2.
Got a game break coming up. A duel in the desert. Diamondbacks, Dodgers. From downtown Phoenix, Capper Square.
Chase Field. 1-2 to Duvall with 2 down here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Full count now. McGrath coming in. Got a couple of ground outs, strike out in the 7th. Kibble had a foul out here to begin the 8th. Votto to fly out. Now a 3-2 pitch coming to Duvall. And a pop-up. Foul ground. Hedges coming back, leaning, but won't have a play. Myers, Renfroe, and Hedges expected in the top of the 9th inning. Padres trailing by 5 runs. Payoff pitch again. And it's fouled off again.
You know, if I was in college, I didn't go to college, right out of high school playing ball.
Yep.
My attire would be every single day Padre, because I'd be a Padre fan. Right. Padre dry fit shorts, Padre dry fit t-shirt, flip flops, and a bucket hat. Every single day.
It's funny because you're not in college and that's what your wardrobe is every single day now. Take college out of the equation completely. Swinging a foul tip held on to by Hedges. Nicely done by Kyle McGrath. 2 shutout innings. It's 8-3 Cincinnati. Wood comes into the game here for the Reds, trying to wrap it up in the 9th inning into his 48th appearance of the year.
Yesterday he celebrated his 32nd birthday. Didn't allow a run in any of his last 4 appearances. That's over 4 1/3 innings work. 48th game for Blake. He's got some breathing room here. And you see the high splits, and you know there's times when managers will throw relievers out there. You know, they're maybe struggling a little bit, need to work on something. If you've got some breathing room like this, 8-3, it's a perfect opportunity to go out there and maybe twirl a clean inning. Work on locating that fastball. Spin that breaking ball.
Will Myers leading it off here in the 9th inning. In there for a strike. And it's 1-1 to Myers. Reds pitching has retired the last 7 Padres in a row. Wandy Peralta was out there for the 8th at a 1-2-3 inning, getting Spangenberg, Perella, and Solarte. Now Myers, it's a high fly ball to left field. Adam Duvall makes the catch for out number 1 of the 9th inning. Time now for the Carl's Jr. star of the game, Asher Wojciechowski, the starter tonight for the Reds. Like 5 2/3 innings.
It could have been nasty in the first inning. He gave up a bunt single and then a single and shut down the Padres. All told, 5 2/3, 7 hits, only 3 runs earned. He found his slider later, made some good pitches when needed. Padres just couldn't do anything to get to him, and he also singled in the 4th inning.
Jumps ahead of Renfroe, 0-1. Hunter has grounded out to second, struck out looking, and singled to left field. Little number foul, and it's 0-2. Wojciechowski came into this game 2-1, so he would better his record to 3-1, and Travis Wood would even his up at 1-1 in a Padres uniform. If the score remains the same and the Padres are unable to come back in this one. Fouled off again, still 0-2. Renfroe now, Hedges next. Padres batting in the 9th, trailing by 5. Back below us. It's coming back hot.
Yeah, it was.
Grabbed your attention.
Surprised we don't get more up here.
Yeah, we're not that far.
No.
Comparatively to a lot of other places, especially where you just were in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, Washington. Never have to ever worry about a foul ball coming in the booth.
New location in Atlanta, that new ballpark.
Oh, how cute is that?
That's awesome. Swing and a miss, and Renfroe strikes out. 2 down in the 9th. First strikeout for Blake Wood. 9 in a row retired by Reds pitching.
Challenge him with the fastball. Why not? Leading 8-3.
2 down, and it's up to Austin Hedges. Flat out to right, struck out swinging, grounded into a fielder's choice. Outside corner, 1-1. Swing and a miss. Down and away, 1-2. And the Padres down to their last strike. Wood gets Myers to fly out. Renfroe to strike out. And Hedges may have gone around. They checked. No, he did not. Able to hold up very defensively. Also trying to get out of the way at the same time.
I think maybe that fastball up and in maybe has set up another slider down and away. Slider, and then that fastball up and in to Austin Hedges, the last 3 pitches.
On the ground right side, Alcantara will go to first, and the Reds will take game 3 of the series. Well, Reds pitching retires the last 10 Padres in a row, and Cincinnati has taken 2 of the first 3 games against the Padres. Final score again, the Reds 8, the Padres 3. Padres Live is next. Mike Pomeranz, what's in store?